This series begins with an announcement in a small village warning everyone to stay away because the military is doing weapons training nearby. But it turns out the announcement was just a trick to keep people away while a group of armed soldiers attacks a house in the village. One of them, a sniper named Lee Sung-jo, is getting ready to shoot someone inside the house. Inside the house, there are 3 people. They are Chong Ji-an, a teenage girl, So Min-ya, a woman who's hurt, and Ba Chong-min, a guy who's unconscious. At that time, Ji-an comes up with a plan to grab a gun near the window. She jumps out of the window to avoid getting shot by the sniper and shoots back at him from outside. Before this, Ji-an was at the police station because she defended herself from a man who tried to hurt her. The police officer was surprised that she, being young, could handle the situation so well. She managed to avoid being caught on camera when she fought back. Since there was no proof she did anything wrong, she was let go. Soon after, Ji-an got a call saying her uncle, Jin-mund, who lived in the village, had died in a shocking way. She rushed to his house. On the way, Ji-an couldn't believe her uncle, who had raised her, would do something so unexpected without a good reason. Feeling suspicious about his death, she went to see Detective Park Jin-woo, who was investigating her uncle's death. Even though Detective Jin-woo said there was nothing unusual about her uncle's death, Ji-an couldn't shake off her doubts. When she got to her uncle's house, she sat quietly, remembering how Chong-min, her childhood friend, always stood by her when she was bullied by other kids at school. During this time, Chong-min confessed to Ji-an that he worked for Jin-mund part-time, helping him with his online business selling water hoses. He also revealed that he was the one who found Jin-mund after he had passed away. Ji-an was thankful to Chong-min for his help to her uncle. Later, they held Jin-mund's funeral, and Ji-an greeted all the guests who came to pay their respects. She noticed that many of the mourners were strangers. Even Jin-mund's old friend, Han-jong, didn't recognize them. After the funeral, Ji-an cremated her uncle's body. But on the bus ride home with the neighbors, rumors spread that she didn't care about her uncle's death because she didn't cry during the funeral, despite him being like a father to her. When Ji-an returned home, memories of her uncle flooded her mind, and she couldn't help but cry. Shortly after, Chong-min gave her Jin-mund's cell phone that he had found, making Ji-an investigate its contents with him. After checking Jin-mund's cell phone, Ji-an was surprised to discover he had a lot of money saved up. She asked Chong-min to help her figure out if the money came from selling water hoses online like they thought, but Chong-min found out that the profits from hose sales weren't enough to explain Jin-mund's savings. So they dug deeper online and found a shady website called Mirth-help. Ji-an remembered seeing a tattoo on Jin-mund's hand with the same name as the website. They opened the site and were shocked to find it was an illegal weapons trading platform. They realized Jin-mund had been making money by selling guns through this site. To make matters worse, they'd found a message threatening Ji-an, saying she would be the next target like Jin-mund. Just then, someone rang the doorbell, making Ji-an and Chong-min worry it might be someone sent to harm Ji-an. Ji-an nervously answered the intercom and found out it was Min-ya, who had a weapon in her bag. Scared, Ji-an asked Min-ya to stay with her until she was surprised to see Min-ya standing in front of Jin-won's door. Meanwhile, drones flew around the house, targeting Ji-an. Turns out, when Ji-an was a child, she met Jin-mund for the first time at her grandmother's funeral. He told her to be strong, but Ji-an didn't really pay attention to his advice. The next morning, Jin-mund's friend hurriedly came to Ji-an's house as if he was being chased by something. Soon after, 2 men came to attack Jin-mund's friend. Ji-an, scared, hid in her room and watched through the door. One of the attackers checked her room, so she hung from a gas pipe until she could escape. Unfortunately, she got hit by a car on the road and ended up in the hospital. While she was there, she overheard police officers talking about her parents being killed by someone. That night, the killer came to the hospital to target her, but Ji-an hid in the morgue. Just as the killer was about to find her, Jin-mund arrived, defeated the men, and decided to take care of Ji-an. In the next day, Ji-an moved in with Jin-mund, who was tough on her and didn't show much affection. though he secretly cared about her. Jian felt sad because she thought her uncle didn't love her, especially when he made her walk home in the rain without picking her up. But Jian watched her from his car, wanting her to toughen up and not be too sensitive. As time passed, Jian got used to Jian's ways. He never talked about the bullying she faced, and only Chongmin helped her. One day, Jian's friends locked her in a warehouse, and Jian, worried, found her. From then on, he trained Jian in martial arts to defend herself against bullies. When Jian was 17, Jian felt she still wasn't strong enough to protect herself. So he took her to climb a mountain to toughen her up. That night, Jian pretended to be sick and sent Jian alone to get help. He gave her a map, flashlight, and slingshot for protection against coyotes. At that time, Jian began her journey alone. During her journey, Jian suddenly saw a pack of coyotes getting ready to attack her. She tried using her slingshot, but it didn't work. Luckily, Jian, who was watching over his nephew, stepped in and helped her stop one of the coyotes. The next day, Jian taught Jian how to aim with a slingshot and even introduced her to firearms, teaching her how to assemble them and shoot targets. When Jian confirmed that Minya had left the front door of the house, she went to see Chongmin after he called her. He explained that the Mirth Help site was very secure and only certain people with access codes could use it. Buyers on the site needed a special code too, and those with the code couldn't harm anyone with a green code. If someone broke these rules, everyone with a code had to risk their life to protect the green code holders. Right now, only Jian and Jian had the green code. Jian felt confused because she didn't know any of this before. Shortly after, Jian's house started shaking from bomb explosions caused by drones surrounding it. When a drone spotted Jian and Chongmin through its camera, it attacked, and they quickly found cover. Jian used her slingshot to take down the drone. Outside, Mr. Kim's troops gathered, getting ready to attack their target. Meanwhile, after Jian destroyed the drone targeting her, she and Chongmin used an iron door for protection while she took down another drone with her slingshot. But they were hit again, causing them to fall. Thankfully, just as a drone was about to shoot them, Minya grabbed her gun from the car and destroyed it. Not long ago, Minya tried to enter the house, but Jian and Chongmin didn't trust her and attacked her. Using her martial arts skills, Minya easily subdued Chongmin, and Jian attempted to attack too. But Minya realized Jian was a green code after scanning her arm with a tool. She remarked that Jian's approach was different from Jian's calculated movements and advised her to fight like him against anyone who targeted her. At that moment, Jian still didn't trust Minya and kept attacking her until Minya realized someone was targeting Jian from afar. Quickly, Minya pushed Jian aside to protect Jian's nephew. As they hid, Minya admitted she was there to protect Jian, who had a green code like Jian. She reminded Jian of the many times someone had saved her since childhood, just like Minya was doing now. Then Minya threw a smoke bomb to block Sungjo's view, who was in a car nearby, while he used a drone to find his target. But his movement caused Minya to get injured. Meanwhile, Jian remembered Jian's advice about a shooter's blind spot. She used a broken mirror on a broomstick to find Sungjo's position. Even though Sungjo shot at the mirror, Jian realized he couldn't aim at her if she was above the window. So she jumped high to reach a gun hidden under the sofa near the window. To her surprise, Jian had left a long-barreled gun there. Jian used it to shoot at Sungjo, although her shot missed. At the same time, Minya joined Jian to hide behind the sofa. She urged Jian and Chongmin, who had just woken up, to head to the warehouse where Jian usually keeps his water hose supplies. Suddenly, one of Kim's men showed up at Jian's house to attack Chongmin, but Minya managed to stop him. Soon after, Jian and Jian quickly made their way to the warehouse, where they knew there was a hidden room. Meanwhile, Minya aimed at Sungjo, but missed. She also had to confront Kim's men, who were targeting Jian. Seeing Kim chasing Jian towards the warehouse, Minya followed to help her. Meanwhile, Ji-an and Chong-min stood in front of the secret room's door, which required a code to open. After several failed attempts, Ji-an remembered Jin-mun's advice to remember her student ID number. At that time, she tried it, and to their surprise, the door opened. They hurried into the elevator, which took them to the basement where Jin-mun kept various firearms. While Ji-an and Chong-min were amazed by lots of weapons in the room, they were startled by a masked man who introduced himself as brother and aimed a gun at them. Meanwhile, Min-ya was in the warehouse, where she turned off all the lights to make it easier for her to move around while dealing with Kim's troops. When one of Kim's men was shot, he ordered everyone to turn off their gun lights to avoid being tracked. However, Kim realized Min-ya's position and ordered his men to shoot at her. Unbeknownst to them, Min-ya had changed her position and began attacking Kim's other men. She cleverly pretended to be under attack by placing the bodies of Kim's fallen men on top of herself to deceive the remaining squad members. With this tactic, she managed to eliminate more enemies. Seeing that Min-ya was becoming harder to defeat, Kim instructed his men to shoot at the roof of the building to let in light. However, this actually made it easier for Min-ya to incapacitate them all. Then, Min-ya faced Kim, who she had been on the same team with when they were young. After a fierce fight, Min-ya managed to inflict a fatal wound on Kim before he could overpower her. Unbeknownst to Kim, the knife Min-ya used was poisoned, and he died from the poison before he could defeat her. Going back to Ji-an, who was held at gunpoint by brother, when she was told to handcuff Chong-min, she seized the chance to fight brother and knocked him out. Looking into Ji-an's past, Jin-mun discovered his nephew was getting close to a young man. He and his friend, Pun-sin, scared the young man away to keep him from Ji-an. This made Ji-an frustrated and angry, leading her to try attacking Jin-mun, but she failed every time. One day, Ji-an learned that Pun-sin was skilled in Muay Thai martial arts. She asked him to teach her, even offering him money from her part-time job. At first, Pun-sin refused, but Ji-an convinced him, and he agreed. Afterward, Pun-sin started training Ji-an in various Muay Thai techniques. Though it was tough, Ji-an was determined to beat Jin-mun and didn't give up, even training during her part-time job at a cafe. With determination, Ji-an mastered Muay Thai, even though when she tried to attack Jin-mun again while he was busy with his work, he managed to dodge her attack. Meanwhile, Pun-sin left after teaching Ji-an self-defense techniques, which she used to knock out two men who were bothering her friend. Soon after, Jin-mun intervened just as she was about to face the last man with a weapon. After this, he advised Ji-an to avoid opponents with weapons. Back in the present, after knocking out brother, Ji-an checked the warehouse and found many surveillance camera screens, realizing Jin-mun had been watching her everywhere. There, she asked brother about Jin-mun's actions, but he didn't answer before escaping. Ji-an chased him but fell into a hole he had prepared. She landed in a surveillance room where she could see everyone in the warehouse. Meanwhile, brother, using an infrared device, paralyzed Chong-min and took him hostage. He demanded Ji-an open a drawer containing a document stating she would inherit the Mirth help site. If she agreed, brother promised to obey her orders. Without hesitation, Ji-an wrote that she agreed to inherit it and replace Jin-mun, showing it to brother through the surveillance camera. After seeing this, brother finally let Ji-an go but refused to free Chong-min, claiming he was responsible for Jin-mun's death. Hearing that, Ji-an didn't believe it, especially since Chong-min insisted he couldn't do such a thing. Soon after, brother asked Ji-an to open a file on the computer containing evidence against Chong-min. Just as she was about to, Chong-min tried to convince her that he had always helped her and couldn't be guilty. However, Ji-an hesitated, especially after Chong-min admitted to informing Jin-mun when Ji-an was locked in a school warehouse. Remembering her uncle's advice to make tough decisions, Ji-an chose to believe Chong-min. She ordered brother to get ammunition and medicine for Chong-min's gunshot wound. Upon hearing that, Chong-min hugged her, but then secretly injected her with a liquid, causing her to lose consciousness. There, Chong-min confessed to deliberately locking her in the school warehouse and informing Jin-mun of her location. The series ends with Sungjo, who survived Mimia's attack, calling his men who were armed with weapons. The series ends. The moral lesson from this film is never trust a friend who hugs you too tight. They might just be plotting to inject you with weird stuff.